Infinity Pool is the newest movie by director and writer Brandon Cronenberg.
Sometimes it can be uncomfortable for the actors because they have to wear more makeup, but it's not.
Starring Mia Goth, and Alexander Skarsgård. Infinity Pool is a movie that holds nothing back in any way, and at any point it tried to present something striking, unconventional, memorable, or simply bizarre. The concept is interesting, being invincible to the law by sacrificing an exact clone of yourself.
You will both be present for the execution.
Oh no, I don't want to see it.
This is non-negotiable.
Which creates a lot of interesting conversations throughout the movie. These rich people are taking full advantage of a poor country, bending the natives' culture, ideals, costumes to fit whatever they want to do, including merciless sport killing.
The Latokans only understand one thing. You need to show them that you're the dominant in this conflict. They're like baboons.
This is nothing new. We've seen movies with this type of narrative before, but the added aspect of the clones really spices things up. These people are obviously self-centered and egotistical in such a way that they put their lives and their entertainment above the lives of everyone else. But can you imagine being so incredibly selfish that you would even kill an exact replica of yourself to keep the fun going?
Born to be bad. Yes, we are.
At one point, one of the characters even asks herself if she is still the real her, which should be frightening, but it doesn't even seem to concern them.
I'll never know if I'm really myself for as long as I live.
Exactly. So who cares?
I think the directing works incredibly well in Infinity Pool. The scene where the first Alexander Skarsgård clone gets killed is quite powerful and shocking.
Please help! Help me! Help me!
Infinity Pool's main arc revolves around Skarsgård's descent into the sinful, woeful person that he becomes, and the sex scene, which I would consider the centerpiece of the movie,
Don't act like you're not impressed.
is really the climax of his path. From the failed writer,
I married the first broke writer to spill coffee on me.
unable to give anything of value, completely dependent on his wife's fortune, even worse, his wife's father's fortune, a man that hates him and would gladly throw him to the side if the opportunity came.
So, what do you do for money then? Do you teach or?
You married rich.
He slowly gets tempted to being incredibly more adventurous and unhinged. More than tempted, is even manipulated. When Mia Goth suddenly approaches Skarsgård and gives him a
hand
Job.
completely out of the blue, he doesn't even respond. He just accepts it. She's in complete control of him, and she will do with him anything that she desires. Mia Goth is the only person that gives him any value, the only one that interests herself in him, and Skarsgård falls for it easily.
You're James Foster. I loved your book.
The sex scene is the moment that he could only dream of, an exhilarating drug-filled pleasure bomb with quick striking images, colors and lens shot that left me feeling like I was there with them. It's one of the most sexual scenes I've ever seen without showing any sex. But if that is the top of the mountain for Skarsgård, it can only mean one thing. it's all downhill from there.
It gets a lot worse from here on in.
As the movie goes on, he feels farther and farther detached from these rich devils, especially as he understands how he's just another toy for their entertainment. He's been used all this time, carefully selected and worked to become one of them, with no way to escape.
You're just a bit of fun for us on our vacation. I never read your book.
The only option is turn against himself and join the group permanently, which leads to our final scene, where we see this rich group of people leaving the country, content as if nothing out of the ordinary happened.
James, great to meet you. Hopefully we'll see you again next year.
Skarsgård is scheduled to do the same, to go back to his wife and his failed career, but he cannot do it. He doesn't feel like part of that elite of devilish people that never repent. He stays back, at a closed hotel, with heavy rain coming down on him, and big waves coming closer to submerging him. He is unable to escape the things he did there. He is stuck, and there's no way to get back. I did not love this movie. I liked a lot of it, but I had some major problems with Infinity Pool. Alexander Skarsgård is a weird character. He's obviously not a righteous person, but the movie seems to conflict with itself about what it wants to say about this character. He kills a man by accidentally driving over him because his lights flickered at night, which is already quite dumb. So you're telling me that the perfectly working lights start randomly flickering for just a few seconds and right at that moment, in the middle of the dark night, there's a person standing in the middle of the road. Yeah, right. But let's even forget the stupidity of what happened. This accident presented this way seems like an inevitable tragedy. Skarsgård is free from guilt. He couldn't see the road and the man was in the middle of it anyway. But it is lightly implied that before driving he was drinking, which is something that the movie completely glosses over. No one talks about that, and the movie really acts like he did nothing wrong. So either the writer forgot that he had been drinking, or maybe drinking and driving isn't anything special where he lives. Something else that I noticed is that in this scene, we can see Skarsgård getting some enjoyment out of watching his clone getting killed, and even more enjoyment in this scene.
Well done, James. I didn't think you had it in you.
Which seems like a huge contrast to what we see of him for the rest of the movie, falling apart from the group after they tricked him into beating a clone of himself. And even risking his life to avoid killing another one later. And lastly, the way the movie presents Skarsgård's escape attempt. It's like we are watching the final girl in a Friday the 13th movie almost escape Jason.
Which one's my date?
Hi.
It builds so much tension that I just don't get. I don't want this guy to escape unscathed. He's an awful person and he did awful things. He shouldn't just get to leave when he doesn't feel like being a bad boy anymore. I think the ending completely justifies his journey in a very fulfilling way, and the movie doesn't exactly glorify him or make him out as some sort of hero, but I still found some of these inconsistencies quite annoying. An exciting and creative movie that entertained me throughout, but that unfortunately had major writing flaws. 6 out of 10. And that's everything for this video. Hope to see you again soon, and until then, the theater is closed.